Imagine pulling out of your driveway and not just saving money, but also making a choice that could impact the future of transportation, the planet, and your wallet, all in one turn of the ignition. For decades, car buyers faced a simple choice: gas or diesel. But today, we're in the middle of a revolution few predicted would arrive so quickly. Electric vehicles, or EVs, are accelerating onto the world stage, and hybrids are holding fast. Which should you trust with your next 10 years on the road? What's the smart choice as prices shift, batteries evolve, and policies transform the entire industry? The answer is more complicated and much more surprising than you've been told. And by the end of this video, you'll have the data, insights, and real-world stories to decide for yourself. So, what's really at stake in the battle between hybrids and full electric cars? And why are so many experts, automakers, and even governments hedging their bets? Let's rewind to paint the full picture. The EV versus hybrid conversation isn't just new tech hype. It's the latest round of a decades-long struggle for cleaner, smarter, and more affordable driving. Remember the oil crises of the 70s? That's when car makers first tried to break out of gasoline dependence, but early electric vehicles fizzled out almost as quickly as they appeared. The battery technology just wasn't there. Fast forward to the late 2010s. Elon Musk steps on stage with the Model S. Tesla's supercharger network unspools across North America, and suddenly, range anxiety becomes dinner table talk from New York to New Delhi. Meanwhile, Toyota's Prius and Honda's Insight quietly rack up millions of miles as ultra-efficient hybrids, beloved by taxi drivers and eco-conscious families alike. But here's the twist. Despite all the hype, as recently as this year, hybrids have not only refused to die, they're staging a comeback. According to Cox Automotive, hybrid sales in the U.S. rocketed up 22% in Q1 of 2025, now accounting for nearly 10% of all vehicle sales. The average driver is suddenly faced with a real, confusing choice. Do you go all in on zero emissions, risk higher upfront costs, and plan your life around charging stations? Or hedge with a hybrid, snagging the best of both worlds in range and convenience, but still burning gas every day? The numbers are eye-popping. Global EV sales are projected to reach 20.6 million units in 2025, a 21.5% jump over last year. China's market share? A staggering 35% for EVs, thanks in part to its dominance in battery manufacturing. In the US, the average price for a new EV is down slightly, but still high, about $52,300. Meanwhile, hybrid vehicles keep gaining in popularity, especially in regions with long winters or vast rural stretches, where charging infrastructure can't keep up with demand. If you're like most people, you want to know which technology is really winning, and what does it mean for your wallet, your lifestyle, and the climate? To answer that, let's break down what each system really offers, and where they fall short. Hybrids come in three flavors: mild hybrids, which simply boost efficiency; full hybrids, which can drive short distances on electric power alone; and plug-in hybrids, which bridge the gap with larger batteries and the option to charge up for dozens of gas-free miles. Take the new Ford F-150 hybrid. It can travel over 700 miles on a single tank. That's the kind of range that lets you cross entire states without a second thought. For millions of drivers, especially those in colder climates or who frequently travel long distances, this is a game changer. Range, refueling speed, and the sheer ubiquity of gas stations mean hybrids offer a kind of freedom that some EVs still struggle to match. That's why taxi fleets from New York to Tokyo continue to favor the Toyota Prius. As one driver put it, "If I want to work a 12-hour shift without stopping, there's no question. It's hybrid or nothing." But even this is changing, and fast. The EV world is evolving at breakneck speed. In just 1 year, the average range of new EVs sold has climbed to 291 miles, an impressive 12% increase over 2023. The future promises even more. Solid-state batteries, currently in late-stage development, could double energy densities and offer 500 kg by the end of the decade. Linda Zhang, chief EV engineer at Ford, claims, "Solid-state batteries hold the potential to revolutionize the EV industry by delivering longer range, faster charging, and enhanced safety." Beneath the headlines, though, there's a real-world tug-of-war between what automakers can build, what governments demand, and what consumers actually want. The Biden administration in the U.S. is pushing for 50% of all new vehicle sales to be electric by 2030. Tax credits sweeten the pot, up to $7,500 for many new and used EVs. Yet, for many shoppers, that still doesn't bridge the price gap or the practical concerns about range and charging. And we haven't even mentioned the global picture. In China, the world's largest car market, EV adoption is surging, thanks in no small part to their dominance in battery production. As Colin McCarricker of Bloomberg Neff points out, China's dominance in battery production provides it with a significant advantage in the global EV market. Meanwhile, European cities like Oslo and Amsterdam are rapidly phasing out combustion engines, turning EVs from a trend into a requirement. Let's bring this all down to earth. Imagine yourself in Edmonton, Canada, or Minneapolis, Minnesota. In the dead of winter, temperatures regularly plunge below freezing. Did you know that EVs can lose up to 41% of their range in these conditions? For urban commutes, it's manageable. But for intercity trips, a single charging station out of order can strand you mid-journey. That's why, for many buyers, hybrids are still the safer bet. Still, the tide keeps turning. EVs offer some undeniable benefits. Maintenance is dramatically lower. No spark plugs, no timing belts, no oil changes. Costs per mile can be a fraction of gas vehicles. And let's not forget the driving experience. Silence, instant acceleration, futuristic tech features that make even luxury sedans feel outdated. As one former Leaf owner described it, "The only reason I got rid of my EV was moving countries. I still miss the quiet, the simplicity, and the thrill of instant torque." But are these perks really worth the trade-offs? Or is the smart move to wait, let the battery tech mature, the prices drop, and the infrastructure catch up? Affordability remains a major obstacle to EV adoption, particularly for mainstream consumers, says Jessica Caldwell of Edmunds. Meanwhile, hybrid technology itself is evolving. New plug-in models blur the traditional boundaries, offering 30, 40, even 60 miles of pure electric range before the gas engine kicks in. For the average city dweller, that could mean weeks without visiting a gas station, while still having the safety net for spontaneous road trips or emergencies. Let's not forget the environmental stakes. EVs, once produced, generate zero tailpipe emissions. For countries racing to meet international climate targets, every switch from gas to battery counts. Yet, the process of building an EV, especially the battery, can create a carbon footprint that takes years to offset through clean driving. Plus, for hybrids, the savings compared to traditional gas engines are real, but not absolute. A hybrid still burns fuel, just at a more efficient rate. Automakers are feeling the squeeze. Demand for both formats is surging, but they face conflicting imperatives: invest billions in next-generation batteries and charging networks, or hedge bets with ever-improving hybrid drivetrains. Some, like Toyota, are doubling down on hybrids as the practical solution for a world in transition. Others, like Tesla, are chasing the dream of an all-EV future, banking on rapid advances in battery cost and charging speed. As Gene Munster of Loop Ventures puts it, Tesla's long-term success hinges on its ability to maintain its technological edge and expand its charging infrastructure. And then, there's you, the driver. What about the real-world math? The average family in North America drives less than 40 miles a day. That's well within the range of most modern EVs, and more than enough for many hybrids to operate in electric mode almost exclusively. But road trips, family emergencies, or unpredictable weather, these are the wild cards that keep drivers up at night. So, we're faced with the paradox. The technology is racing ahead, but the infrastructure, the pricing, and, most importantly, the everyday realities of life are forcing millions to weigh their options carefully. Do you jump in now and reap the financial and environmental rewards, or do you hedge your bets, waiting for the ultimate breakthrough? As one expert said, automakers must prioritize the development of cost-effective EV platforms to effectively compete with gasoline-powered vehicles. The next few years may decide not just the winner in this tug of war, but the future of how, why, and where we drive. So, as governments set ambitious targets, automakers scramble for battery breakthroughs, and drivers chase the perfect balance between freedom, savings, and responsibility. The hybrid versus full EV debate is turning into the most consequential choice in the history of personal transport. But what happens when the next generation of batteries finally arrives? When charging is as fast as refueling, and costs drop to match, or even beat, gas-powered cars? Will hybrids fade away, or will they evolve into something entirely new? Stay with us, because in the next section we'll reveal how cutting-edge battery developments, policy changes, and surprising new entrants to the market could tip the scales in ways nobody predicted. Will your next car be the last gasoline-powered vehicle you ever buy, or your first step into a world of silent, zero-emission mobility? The answer may be closer than you think. Let's push forward into the future, not just a year or two down the road, but the real automotive horizon, where both electrification and hybridization might shapeshift in ways most of us haven't fully imagined. If you think the debate over hybrids and EVs is intense now, just wait. The next few years promise to crank up the drama, the stakes, and yes, the opportunities for regular drivers like you and me. So, what actually lies ahead? For starters, look at the numbers. By 2025, global EV sales are projected to top 20 million units. That's a 21.5% jump in just a year, according to the latest research. China is barreling ahead, with EVs expected to make up 35% of all its new cars. In the US, hybrids are quietly surging, their sales up by 22% in the first quarter of 2025 alone. Some people see that as a sign hybrids are here to stay, but here's the twist. Massive investments are flowing into charging infrastructure to the tune of $60 billion globally this year. Solid-state batteries, the next leap forward in energy storage, are on the horizon, with companies promising energy densities that could double what we see today by 2030. But how could this all play out? Imagine a world where the average EV can comfortably go 600 miles on a charge while recharging in just 10 minutes. That's what the most optimistic projections for solid-state batteries promise. 500 kg, lightning fast charge, and perhaps most important for northern drivers, minimal performance loss in freezing temperatures. Ford's Linda Zhang, a chief engineer in the EV revolution, says it plainly. Solid-state batteries hold the potential to revolutionize the EV industry by delivering longer range, faster charging, and enhanced safety. If she's right, then the chief advantages hybrids hold today, range, convenience, winter confidence, could shrink dramatically by the end of the decade. But the future isn't just about specs or futuristic batteries. It's about politics, economics, and even culture. Consider the push from governments worldwide. In the US, the Biden administration is aiming for half of all new cars to be electric by 2030. The Inflation Reduction Act is flooding the market with tax credits for new and even used EVs, making the technology more accessible than ever before. Europe's emissions targets are tightening every year, and China is locking down its dominance in battery supply chains. And yet, as Jessica Caldwell of Edmunds points out, affordability remains a major obstacle to EV adoption, particularly for mainstream consumers. That's where hybrids step in. They're often cheaper upfront, don't require a home charger, and fit perfectly into existing lifestyles, especially in places where winters are harsh or the power grid is unreliable. So let's game out a few possible futures. One scenario: battery tech advances rapidly, prices drop, and the charging grid expands everywhere, even in rural and snowy regions. In this world, full EVs could become the default choice for almost everyone. Hybrids, once the smart transitional tech, could fade away, remembered mostly as a clever bridge between two eras. Another scenario: progress is slower or uneven. Maybe solid-state batteries end up expensive or tricky to mass produce. Maybe chargers lag behind, especially outside major cities. In this world, hybrids could become a long-term fixture, not just a stopgap. Their flexibility, gas and electric together, keeps them relevant for decades, especially as gas prices fluctuate or new climate policies are debated in different countries. There's even a third scenario, one that's starting to catch serious attention. What if the real disruption is not EVs versus hybrids, but self-driving technology? Autonomous vehicles are much easier to build around electric platforms. And if robo-taxis catch on, the whole idea of personal car ownership might change. Suddenly, convenience and range anxiety take on new meanings. Will we even care what's under the hood when most rides are summoned at the tap of a screen? It sounds like science fiction, but automakers are already placing their bets. Here's what's not up for debate. The automotive landscape is changing faster than at any point in the past century. Consumer preferences are evolving, new brands are emerging, and you have more power as a buyer than ever, but also more choices and perhaps more uncertainty. So what does all of this mean for you? Let's get practical. If you're looking to buy or lease your next vehicle in the next year or two, the decision between hybrid and EV is going to come down to your lifestyle, location, and budget, at least for now. Ask yourself, how far do you drive typically? If you're regularly taking long road trips in regions where fast chargers are sparse, or you live in a cold climate where winter zaps battery range, a hybrid or plug-in hybrid still makes a lot of sense. The peace of mind of having a gas engine as backup can't be underestimated, especially if you can't charge at home. But if your driving is mostly local, with regular commutes or school runs, and you have access to home or workplace charging, the numbers are starting to favor EVs. Recent data shows the average new EV goes nearly 300 miles on a single charge, and that number will only climb. Plus, running costs for EVs are generally lower. Less money on maintenance, no more oil changes, and electricity often costs less than gas per mile, especially if you charge overnight at home. And here's something people often overlook. The ownership experience of an EV is fundamentally different, and in many ways, better. They're quieter inside. Instant torque makes every launch feel exhilarating, and you can precondition the cabin from your phone before you even leave the house, a lifesaver on frigid mornings. But let's return to our key question. Are hybrids just a short-term bridge, or do they have staying power even as EV technology leaps ahead? The truth is, there's no single answer, yet. Hybrids are evolving too. Today's plug-in hybrids offer real electric range for most daily needs, with gas backup for longer hauls, the best of both worlds, for now. Automakers are pouring R&D into making hybrids lighter, more efficient, and smarter. But the ceiling on how much hybrids can improve is much lower than for EVs. The fundamental limitations, complexity, emissions, and fossil fuel reliance are hard to escape. EVs, meanwhile, keep getting better and cheaper. Battery costs are dropping, even as supply chains stretch. The average EV transaction price in the US just dipped below $53,000, down 2.3% year over year. Still not cheap, but heading in the right direction. As production scales up and incentives filter through, experts believe true mass market affordability isn't far off. A lot will depend on where you live. In Norway, where charging is everywhere and government policies are aggressive, full EVs are already over 80% of new cars. In much of the US, especially rural and cold weather areas, hybrids and even plug-in hybrids are king. And in massive markets like China, competition is forcing rapid improvement across both categories. So here's the lesson. Don't think of this as a winner-takes-all duel. Think of hybrids and EVs as players on the same team. Both are helping to shrink emissions, reduce our oil dependence, and push automakers to innovate. The real loser, if you will, is the old-school gas car with no electrification at all. If you're choosing a car soon, weigh your needs honestly. Don't just focus on the tech specs or the hype. Look at your day-to-day realities. Try to test drive both a hybrid and an EV. The difference in feel, quiet, and acceleration may surprise you. And don't forget to check for incentives or tax credits in your region. Sometimes those can tip the balance decisively. But let's glance a little further ahead. Experts agree, if solid-state batteries deliver on their promise, the EV versus hybrid debate could end almost overnight. Picture cars that go 600, 700, even 1,000 miles on a charge, with durable batteries that last decades and recharge in the time it takes to grab a coffee. Add to that the wild new features enabled by electric platforms, like using your car to power your home in a blackout. And it's clear why so many insiders see EVs as not just the future, but the end game. Yet there's a wild card, humanity's stubborn unpredictability. Sometimes a new crisis can tilt the whole playing field, from oil shocks to political shifts to breakthroughs no one saw coming. Flexibility, then, is your friend. Hybrids ensure you're covered on all fronts, but the EV train is picking up speed, and you don't want to be left at the station when it really takes off. Here's a secret fact that's just starting to surface among industry insiders. Some major automakers are quietly hedging their bets, ramping up R&D on both next-gen hybrids and ultra-affordable EVs, waiting to see which way the wind blows. Why? Because even at the top, no one is certain which tech will triumph. But the smart money is on electrification, in one form or another. So, to wrap it all up, will advances in batteries and charging finally end the debate? They might not end it overnight, but they're rapidly tipping the scales toward full EVs. Hybrids will remain relevant for certain lifestyles, regions, and use cases, especially as a practical, proven solution today. But as tech surges forward and the infrastructure matures, it's full EVs that are poised to dominate, possibly far sooner than most people expect. This isn't just a battle of batteries and engines. It's a story about how we move, how we live, and how we shape the world for the next generation. If you found this exploration useful, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives and honest analysis on the future of transportation. Comment below. Are you sticking with a hybrid, jumping to an EV, or waiting for something else entirely? Share your experiences and